All right, for this week's project in the shop, we're doing something really cool, really fun that I wanted to do for a while. We're gonna combine two of my favorite things, guns and knives. Thank you for joining me again in the shop. This week, we are going to make a knife for the Mammoth Sniper Challenge. Stick around to find out what that's all about. All right, if you've ever spent more than 5 minutes in a room with me, we're probably gonna talk about guns and knives and long range shooting. Pretty much guaranteed. Everybody knows this about me. These are the two things that I'm like the most passionate about. So recently I've decided to become a sponsor for the Mammoth Sniper Challenge. Now, they have a challenge coming up in January that I've already sent a few knives ahead for the prize table. So those will be on the table at the Mammoth Sniper Challenge in January. I'm a minor sponsor, I guess you could say, a small time sponsor of the actual competition. If you're not familiar with the Mammoth Sniper Challenge, I highly recommend you look it up. It's probably one of the most grueling and challenging, if not the most grueling and challenging, precision marksmanship, shooting competition style challenges in the nation. It's brutal, it's rough. I don't know that I would ever actually participate in it. I don't know, it could be kind of fun just to see how bad it sucks, but this dog's getting a little bit long in the tooth for that kind of stuff. Who knows, one day maybe we'll participate. But that's not what this is about. Today, this project is about building a knife specifically for that as a sponsor. So something I can put on the table with my name on it as a sponsor of the Mammoth Sniper Challenge. So I started from the ground up for the next phase of the challenge later on this year. I think they're doing another one in April or May-ish, that time frame. So this knife is gonna go to that, to be on the sponsor table for that. And I wanted to design something that harkens back, yes, I said harkens, back to the old school style combat knives of like the World War I, World War II era, where there was, to me, I'm a big fan of like the old Fairbairn Sykes daggers and those kind of things, like the like iconic EK Commando style of knives from that time frame, kind of like the birthplace or the origins of the Special Forces community and the snipering community as really a Special Forces discipline and that kind of thing. So without getting too deep into the lore of snipers and all this stuff from those days and those time frames, I wanted to build a knife that to me signifies or embodies that old romantic style of a combat knife, something useful, utilitarian, simple, but robust all at the same time. I've gone back and forth on this design a lot. I've actually been working on it for a couple months. This is where I've ended up right here. This little guy, you see me here working on it. It is about 10¼ inches overall. It has a 5¼ inch blade, 5-inch handle, a double guard, so it kind of reminds me of an old Skagel knife or an old Randall knife, or that type of thing, like that genre of knives from that early area, the early era of say the first half of the 19th century up until about 60s or 70s. This was really common style to have a double guard and all this good stuff with a kind of combat style blade. Simple, utilitarian, but still useful in multiple types and style of roll. If you're familiar with the Loveless knives, there's going to be a lot of elements of this that are inspired by a Loveless knife, and a lot of elements of this that are also inspired by my love for like Randalls and stuff like that. But this is what I ended up with. I think we got a winner here. It's got a pretty simple spear point style drop point blade, a little bit of a choll in it, so you can sharpen it easier, that kind of thing. You can index your edge, your actual sharpened edge there. A double guard, which gives you a little bit more protection for the hand, more of a combat style feature. But I did a hidden tang and a through tang with a bolt on the end. So I'm gonna put these big fat 1/2-inch stainless steel bolts on the back end to bolt this thing together. And I'm gonna use micarta for the handles. So this thing's gonna be pretty robust overall. It leaves a lot of room in the design for me to add features, like I could do some leather stacks inside the handle, like a Randall knife would be, or something along those lines. So there's a lot I can do with this knife. This first prototype, I'm probably just gonna stick with a simple stainless guard or bronze guard. I'm going to use stainless steel for the blade, so it's a little bit more robust. It's a little bit more easy to use and easy to maintain for people in the field and stuff like that. You don't have to really worry about rust and all the crazy stuff. I'm using micarta for the handles, definitely. Nice thick tang that goes all the way through, and a big fat stainless bolt on the back end that can actually act as a skull crusher as well. So you got a little bit of heft on the back end. If you needed to pound this thing in with like a piece of wood or whatever, you could do that. It would actually be strong enough to take that on the back end. So I'm gonna make sure we have a nice big chunk of metal back there to protect the back end of that butt cap. So enough ado, let's get to making this knife. I'm pretty excited about it. I think I finally got the design nailed down. I've worked through several of my other style of knives that have my style of blade and handle in them, and they just weren't fitting the bill. They weren't quite, I guess, they weren't giving me that mystique or mysticism or romance of an old school fighter. They weren't giving me that style of, like, you know, feeling. So I wanted to tweak the design a little bit. I've gone through several of them. I've thrown a lot of them away, and I tried a couple out that didn't really work. I was thinking like maybe we do a buoy, that kind of thing, but the Sniper Challenge to me is a special place in my heart because I've always had kind of a romantic interest in snipers and snipering and all that good, wonderful stuff. So to me, I needed to make a knife that fit that genre. And to me, that's a simple knife, a robust knife, a utilitarian knife, something you could fight with if you needed to, but you're not necessarily made for that. Specifically, it's a little bit on the shorter side, so it's easy to carry, compact, takes up very little space. And when you're out there doing snipery things in the woods, and if you've been in the military, you know, the less weight you got to carry around, the less bulk you got to carry around, the better. The more versatile each individual tool in your kit is, the better off it is. So I designed a knife with that in mind. Hopefully this fits the bill. We're going to make one of these. We're going to try it out, prototype this thing, and if we like it, we're going to make a few more of them to put on the table at the Mammoth Sniper Challenge. So let's get into making a knife that I think a sniper would carry. Oh, and before anyone goes off the rails about that, I have actually talked to some snipers. I do know some people that have been snipers for a long time. Marine Corps snipers, Army snipers, and otherwise. And I've gotten a lot of feedback from this from military guys, actual veterans, people who've done sniping in both military and law enforcement settings, and have kind of, some of them which are actually knife makers themselves. So it's nice to have that well of information and that well of experience, since I'm not a sniper, never have been, never will be, to draw from, so that I can get this inspiration and design something I think is really gonna be cool. Let's get to making this thing. All right, we're wrapping it up. This one turned out really cool. I like it. 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 I like the way this went. I haven't made a knife like this in a while that I really love the way it turned out. Bam. All right, it's a little bit different to what I usually make. I went with all satin finishes all the way around. Even on the handle, I went down to a satin finish, no polish. I've got leather stack, stainless guard, micarta, stainless bolt on the back end there for screwing everything together, and a CPM 154 blade that is absolutely razor sharp and deadly. This thing is awesome, man. I love the way this turned out. So this is the project for the Mammoth Sniper Challenge. I'm going to be making a few more of these to put on the table for the challenge in April as a sponsor. So there'll be a couple of these on the table as giveaways, prizes for winners and stuff like that. So if you want to get your hands on one of these the hard way, the really hard way, go do the Mammoth Sniper Challenge and win that sucker. Or come in like pretty high place, someplace, I don't know. Come in one of the places, I don't know what place they're gonna give them to. You'll have to ask the show promoters for that one. But if you want a little bit easier way to get your hands on one of these, you can contact me at calebwhiteneknives.com. You can work through my email there. My email list is on the website. You can sign up to get notified when I have knives like this or others available. Going forward with this one being the prototype, I'm actually gonna finish the sheath for it this week and put it on my website, so it will be available for purchase, and then I'm gonna start working on the next batch of these for the Mammoth Sniper Challenge. But let's get in here and look at this thing real quick. All right, to sum it up with this blade, this is 10¼ inches overall, 5¼ inch blade, 5-inch handle, and just made for hardcore, heavy duty, rugged combat use. I stinking like this thing, man. I think I'm gonna make myself one of these. The black micarta handle with the like rougher grit finish on it, a 400 grit finish on it, I really think kind of brings it down into more the tactical phase, like brings it down into like a doled out, you know, satin finish, tactical, like midnight look. It's really cool. I like it. You got to see this thing in person if you ever get a chance, you know, if I have them on the table at shows and stuff like that. But I'm gonna definitely make some more of these, put them on the catalog, put them on the website. They can be found at calebwhiteneknives.com whenever they are available. Sign up for my mailing list. Again, thank y'all for joining me in this project. Really love the way this turned out. I'm digging it. What do y'all think? Let me hear your feedback. Let me hear what you think about this newest knife from my shop right here. Man, that's just, I'm having a hard time not playing with this one. It's cool. I don't think there's anything I'd change about it. Not one thing. I could work with different blade styles, maybe try out some different blade styles with this handle shape and this handle construction style and everything, but with a little bit of leather in there, it adds a little bit of that classy old school touch to it, you know, old school combat style knife, say something like the Randalls or Skagels or something like that, and that's what I was going for, and I think, man, it just worked out. Love it. Thank y'all for joining me again. Stay sharp, keep your powder dry, and y'all be blessed.